Hello, everyone. Um, I know some people are still filing in, so as people file in, I'm just going to make sure everyone stays muted. And then I ask if you do have a question to utilize just the chat feature. Welcome to Calm is Contagious. My name is Catherine Pluta, and I'm from the UR Medicine's Employee Wellness. I'm a nutritionist, and I also teach yoga and meditation. So just some general housekeeping. This is recorded, but it does allow anonymity. So if you don't want to be identified, don't worry. You can also turn your video off if you don't feel comfortable. And I will keep everyone muted just so that there's no feedback. If you do have a question, like I mentioned earlier, you can use the chat feature, or you can send it directly in the chat to Lisa Norson, and then she'll be able to ask all the questions. Yeah, she just waved. So that way we can stay focused and no one can have any distractions. All right. So if you are on a cell phone, you're not going to have the ability to use the chat feature. So you can hit the number 6 to mute and unmute yourself. And then you also can hit the number 9. If you have a question, it will like raise a hand. And that way we know you have a question and we can come to you and allow you to ask your question. All right, so I think that's all of the housekeeping stuff I have for you. And now on to the good stuff. So just a disclaimer, I am no expert on pandemics. This is very new to me, as I'm sure it's very new to many of you, and that's okay. It is okay to not know what you are doing. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be confused. It's okay if things are hard. And it's also okay if things are easy. You can't put yourself at fault for anything that's going on right now. This situation is not your fault. And these are the things that are really important to always remind yourself during a time of uncertainty like this. You can only do what you can do, and you can only do what you can do with what you have. You're doing your best. Just showing up here today proves that you are doing your best. And I hope that you will leave here today with at least one nugget to take with you. And it's possible that you may have even already gotten it. And if so, that's awesome. During times of uncertainty, or really any time of high stress, it's very often found that we can fall into habits. Sometimes our habits are good habits, and sometimes our habits are bad habits. So it's kind of becoming mindful and aware of what's happening, what we're doing, and then kind of distinguishing between the two. So I'm going to share my screen with you all and show you our wellness wheel that we use in the employee wellness. Well, not exactly the best with technology, so bear with me if I take a minute to share my screen sometimes. All right, I think I've got it. All right, so this is our wellness wheel. Very colorful, very pretty. We have all 6 of our pillars of health and wellness. We feel that health is not just dependent upon one of these, but all 6 of them working together to kind of bring about overall health. And today, the 2 that we're going to focus most on is emotional well-being and social behaviors, and the mindfulness of both of them. So now I'm going to share with you the definition of mindfulness. So mindfulness is the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. Now I will share my screen with you once again, hopefully. All right. So we are going to now look at managing emotional well-being. Hmm. Well, let's look at managing socializing. Or here it is. Okay, I found it. All right. So, in managing stress, emotional well being, some things that we can do, and then some resources to go along with those. So, some good things are going for walks, practicing yoga, meditating, and some different types of meditation can be breathing on counts. So, whether that's counting your breath, counting your inhales, and then matching your inhale count with your exhale count, doing a mindful minute, which is when you can set your timer for about 60 seconds. In that 60 seconds, count your breaths. So every inhale, exhale, 1. Inhale, exhale, 2. And you would do that for the entire 60 seconds. Whatever number you come up with, that's your mindful minute number. So when you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm very pressed for time, but I'm just very overwhelmed and I just need a minute, you can come into your mindful minute, reflect back on that number that you counted, and take those 6 or whatever number it might be, full inhales and exhales, and there's your mindful minute. There are 5 senses meditations. So those would go along with the 5 senses. So see, hear, touch, smell. And those can also be very fun if you're stuck home with your children. And maybe sometimes you just need some meditation with your kids. Those can be fun because you can incorporate imagination and awareness with your children. So, for example, whether it's telling your kids to imagine that they have a bowl of soup in their hands. And then they can come up with whatever soup they want, asking them what the soup looks like, what the soup smells like, things like that. Or you can bring it into any other activity, if not using the meditation. If you're baking cookies with your kids, asking them what the cookies smell like, what the cookies look like, things like that. A body scan, which is really great for helping you to sleep. Just going through each and every body part and just really focusing on the feeling. I like to work from the extremities in and up. So starting at your fingers or your toes and then working your way in and up to your head as the last place. There's muscle relaxation meditations, which is like isolating different muscle groups, tensing and relaxing. And then there's also ways where you can meditate with quotes. We're going to do a meditation at the end of today's webinar with a quote, so you'll be able to get a good example of that. And then also too, meditation can be done really in any activity. If you're going for a walk or you're running, just paying attention to your breath and what's going on in your body, that's a form of meditation. It's called a moving meditation. And sometimes it can be a good starting point to transition into some of these other meditations. Presence and awakening. So there's different ways to bring in mindfulness into activities, like the 5 senses activities, like when you're baking cookies. That's bringing in presence and noticing what's happening. Mindful eating, drinking water, noticing when you are thirsty, making lists, organizing, working on different projects around the house, puzzles, whether it's a jigsaw puzzle or a crossword puzzle or anything that helps you to just focus on one thing at a time. You can create, whether it's painting, drawing, scrapbooking, sewing, connecting with nature, bird watching, gardening, getting outside. But also, too, if you're not capable of getting outside, there's also other ways you can connect with nature. My favorite is doing the zoo live cams. And I have a link over here to the San Diego Zoo. They do a lot of live cams for their animals. I'm very excited. They just recently added the platypus to their animal live cams. So I've been pretty excited about that. Um, Lastly, journaling. You can get a gratitude journal, writing down affirmations, acknowledging your accomplishments, writing them down, or even just writing down your favorite quotes. And then on the right side, I have all of the different resources. So 10% Happier has a coronavirus sanity guide. They also have an app, 10% app. There's the virus anxiety website. There's the Calm app, the Simple Habit app, and Headspace app that all offer really great meditations and other activities. Some of my favorite books for meditations are Thich Nhat Hanh and Baron Baptiste. Also, Journey to the Heart by Melody Beattie. Some good YouTubes for yoga and meditation are Yoga with Adriene and Baron Baptiste's meditations. Breathe Yoga also offers free classes on their website, and here's the link. JustColor.net has free printable adult coloring pages. White Mountain Puzzles and Springbok Puzzles are still delivering puzzles if you found yourself running out of puzzles to do. And then there's also a jigsaw puzzle app where you can do puzzles on your phone or your iPad. And then lastly, the San Diego Zoo that I already mentioned. So these are some great ways to manage your stress. And then also I have the social behaviors, different ways to manage that. And I'll share my screen now. Yeah, so social behaviors, how you interact with others. And during a time where you might be isolated with your family members, it's definitely a time to practice some of these things when you're getting stressed out from whatever it is. Some of these might be good things to place in practice, especially if you are with kids. Practicing those emotional well-being behaviors are good exercises that you can do together to be an example. You can practice patience, just taking a breath before responding, being generous in your explanations. So what this means is rather than very often, it's easy for us to assume the worst in any situation. But rather than assuming that, you can always just be very, very generous. Like if someone doesn't respond to your email, it's very easy to assume that they forgot about you. But rather you can say, maybe they never got it, or maybe they haven't even checked their email today. I'm sure once they check their email, they'll see it and they'll reply to me immediately. So being generous in your explanations for why things are happening. Shifting your perspective. Expressing gratitude, saying thank you, and journaling your feelings. Often it's frustrating when you're trying to explain yourself to someone and they don't understand because they're not experiencing what you're experiencing. So a good exercise is journaling those feelings, and then you can read it back to yourself. You already are familiar with the situation, so you can almost offer advice to yourself through your journal. Creating a distinct boundary between work and home. This is a huge challenge if your work has now become your home or your home has now become your work. One thing that I find to be very helpful in a situation like this is making sure that you have a clear schedule with work. And when work is over, it's over. But the best way to distinctly create that boundary with it being over is to find something that finalizes it. Whether it's once you close your laptop, you just take a mindful minute, or even just a quick meditation, or the possibility of maybe going outside, taking a walk, doing something that allows you to enter back into your home space as your home rather than your home space as your work. Dinner table conversations. So, going around the table and maybe naming something that you're grateful for, leaving the bad news and the discussion around anything negative off of the dinner table conversation, and just having positive conversations. One fun thing that I heard about is the immunity game that some families have been doing, and it's for kids that are home from college or a little bit older, and allowing those kids to have immunity, going around the table and saying something that they might have done that was silly as a kid, that they probably would have gotten in trouble for way back then, but now they have immunity and they can share it now. Sometimes that can be a funny conversation. And then lastly, detaching from news and social media before bed. And then some of our resources are writing letters to friends, family, yourself, doing Zoom game nights. You can do Jackbox games or categories or bingo, sending online puzzles to friends. And I can show you how you can do that. Using the I'm a Puzzle website. I'll share my screen to show you the website, but it's pretty cool and pretty fairly easy for someone that's not very good at technology. I find it to be easy. But here's the website. You go to My Pictures. You can select any picture. If you're sending it to a friend, maybe picking a picture of you and your friend to send to them. Then you upload that picture. Then you click what kind of pieces you want the pieces to look like, how many pieces you want, and then you click share. It creates a link that you can share and send to your friends. And then they get the puzzle on their phone or iPad or whatever it might be, and they can do the puzzle on their phone. And then it times them, and you get a notification when they finish it, and you guys can enjoy the picture of whatever you sent to them together. That's a fun one. I've been doing that one a lot. And then I think there was only one last thing on my list. Yes, lastly is the needhelppayingbills.com. This link right here, if you or anyone that you know is having difficulty this time at this time financially, this website helps connect you with free food banks, all different types of resources that can help you get the things that you need in a way that's going to work for you financially. So both of these, the social behaviors and the emotional well-being, I know I went through these kind of fast, and if you're taking notes, it probably was hard for you to write everything down. But they both are on our website that I shared in the beginning slide, and I'll bring that slide back up at the end so you can get the website. But both of those slides are on there with all of these resources. All right, so now it is question time. I see that we have a few, and I'm not sure if anyone else sent any more to Lisa. I'll unmute Lisa so she can give our questions.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do have one question that I think is an interesting one, and maybe one that is applicable to many of us. And that question, and it came just to me, not to everyone, is sleeping is a real issue for me. Can you recommend the best way using meditation or other strategies to get to sleep? And if I wake up, to get back to sleep?
That's a great question. And I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the same thing. Luckily, I have lots of good stuff to share. First being, if you got the email today or whenever you got the email about today's webinar, we do have a webinar coming up on sleep. And I know that's going to be really, really well done. So definitely tune into that because I'm sure they have even more tips. But some of the things that I know to be helpful are the meditation, the body scan. I think that one is really helpful, going from extremities all the way up. Um, there are body scan meditations if you're like, I have no idea where to begin with that. There are tons on the Calm app and all of those apps that I talked about, as well as YouTube has a bunch. Some of the ones on YouTube are not the best, so you got to kind of play around with whichever ones are going to work for you. But even just listening to them can help you get an idea of how to do them yourself. Some other things too is detaching from social media and from the news, definitely in the afternoon and before bed, can really help your mind detach from other things and focus more internally. Or even just laying on the floor with your legs up against the wall, your feet above your head and your heart, so that your body can kind of just begin the process of, okay, I'm prepping for bed. I'm in that state of relaxation. So hopefully those are helpful.
Thank you, Kat. Someone did share that Amazon Prime has some good yoga classes, so I wanted to pass that along. And we have two more questions. One is, and I'm going to massacre this poor guy's name. What is the Thich Nhat Hanh book about?
Yes, that you did the name perfectly.
Oh, good.
He's an author. He has tons and tons of books on meditation, on really any area of your life. He has a bunch of how to books like how to sleep, how to sit, how to walk, how to love. And all of those are take a meditation view on love or eating or sleep or whatever the topic of the book is. He has intro to meditations, how to create a meditation space books. So I thoroughly enjoy everything that I've read of his.
This is not a question, this is an observation. I see in some of the squares that people have their pets close to them. I'm wondering if, and you are a dog owner,
Oh yeah.
grip is very important in your life. I'm wondering if you want to say anything about pets, especially around stress or whatever is going on.
Yeah, I know for myself, whenever I feel overwhelmed or like I just need comfort and I don't have anyone else here to comfort, having a pet or just being able to hold something soft and something that loves you unconditionally can just provide that stress relief that is so simple and easy and effortless. Like just petting your dog or showing your dog love can also be a way of showing yourself love.
Thank you, Kat. Someone just had a great suggestion. They said if you want to fall asleep, read the Intro to Western Civilization or any medical journal. So that's a great suggestion.
That's
And someone else said that Thich Nhat Hanh's audiobooks are available through the Monroe County Library System. So, and I have the Monroe County Library System. I think it's called the Pioneer. I can't remember the name of it, but I have their app on my phone, and you can download a lot of free audiobooks. And I've been doing a lot of that during this stay-at-home period. All right, that's, I think, everyone who has a question, Kat. So if you want to do your meditation.
Yeah. So if you don't feel comfortable, well, actually, let's just have everybody turn their videos off. That way, you don't have to feel like anyone's looking at you or feel self conscious during this. Um, I will make sure everybody is muted. Um, and I'll even turn my own video off. And just create a space for yourself where you feel comfortable. Notice your foundation. So, foundation is anything that is touching the floor or anything that's connected to the earth. So, if you're sitting in a chair or a couch or however you might be sitting, noticing what's connected to the earth. If the chair is connected to the earth, if your feet are connected to the ground. If you want to close your eyes, you can, but you don't have to. And take a deep breath in and exhale, empty it all out. And I mentioned before meditating on a quote. I'm going to share with you all one of my favorite quotes. And it's between a stimulus and a response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And so a stimulus is like a trigger, something that happens that causes other things to happen. A response is intentional, it's a choice. And then there's the opposite of that, which is reaction, right? An impulse, something that's not controlled. And then space is often seen as the meditation. So between a stimulus and a response. So between a trigger and then having an intentional choice, there is meditation. And so in order for a trigger, like a stimulus, to trigger response rather than reaction, which is impulse, there has to be a space. There has to be meditation. There has to be awareness, right? You have to take a deep breath. You have to assess. And then you have to choose. You have to be intentional. And when we are able to do that through space, we gain power, right? Our response allows us to grow. And it can be very freeing from any feelings that are connected to a reaction, right? Allowing ourselves to choose to respond rather than to fall into a reaction. That's where we find the growth in ourselves, in our ability to create space, to create meditation. It creates freedom, and that freedom is our detachment from the need to reacting to a stimulus or something that's causing stress, the trigger. And like we said before, a meditation can be as simple as just a deep breath. Maybe sometimes it's 2 breaths or 3. And so all together, take a deep inhale. Empty out completely. Notice your body. Notice your body's response to every inhale. Notice your body's response to every exhale. Inhale again together. Exhale, sigh it all out. Drop your chin to your chest, open your eyes, lift your head. If you'd like to open your video back up, you may, but you're not required to do so. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I will share again my the beginning title so that you can get the link to not only my webinar if you want to do it again, but also the webinars that happened prior to mine and the ones that are going to happen in the future. Let's share that one more time. And thank you, and good luck, and stay healthy, and be well.
Thank you.